Have you ever wondered how on earth all of these professional artists create such an amazing shading? And why every time you draw shading it seems just off? Is there some secret trick that you're missing? Something so simple and so effective that it will bring your artworks to a whole new level? Today I'll show you this secret shading technique, and also you'll learn how to exactly use it to upgrade your own artworks. When I was starting out as an artist, I thought that shading is pretty straightforward. You just draw the bright and the dark side of the object and that's it. And this was killing my art progress for a long time. But why? That's because I was missing the main purpose of shading, to show the depth. See, with our artworks we not only want to show the simple light and shadows, we also want to show how they realistically spread across the objects. In that way we'll create a great sense of dimension and make our artworks look believable and much more appealing. So how can we achieve this? There are two main types of lighting. The first one is direct lighting. Think of a flashlight shining on an object. The flashlight is headed towards the object, so the light beams will travel in the same direction. They will create the lit up side of the object, and because they can't reach the opposite side, it stays in shadow. Pretty simple. But there is the catch. By using only this type of lighting, we are getting into a trap of flat and uninteresting shadows. And that's when we introduce the second type. Indirect lighting. The great example of it is cloudy weather. Because of clouds all over the sky, we can see the direct lighting, the sun. Instead, our clouds evenly illuminate the earth with a very diffuse light. It's called ambient lighting. And that's where the things get interesting. Let's say we place our object on the floor, in the room with ambient lighting. The beams of light will bounce off the floor to the object, then back to the floor, to the object, and so on. But with each bounce, the intensity of beam will decrease. So, further we go under the object, the less lit it will be. And because we have evenly spreaded ambient light in the room, the beams will come from different directions, but their behavior will stay the same. And we will see that the darkest part of the shadow is located in the place where objects are very close to each other. But how exactly should we use it to improve our shading? My favorite part in drawing is to learn new and awesome skills that will improve my artworks. So, to upgrade my skills, I often take online classes that can be found on Skillshare, which is today's sponsor. Skillshare is an amazing platform that I wish I had when I started drawing. It's especially valuable for artists, because here you can find thousands of classes led by incredible professionals who teach drawing, painting, illustration, animation and much more. For me, fall is the season of productivity. The weather cools, kids go back to school, and I found myself inspired to upgrade my art skills. So I plan to take Skillshare classes to improve on drawing. And you can get all of these classes for free, because the first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. In our example, the darkest shadow is located in the place where the object is touching the surface. But when we lift up the sphere, the shadow will lose its intensity on both objects, because it's much easier for the light to reach their surfaces. And if we put the object back on the floor, the shadow will appear again. This effect is called ambient occlusion. And it's working with any kind of object which surfaces are close to each other. Actually, a lot of artists use ambient occlusion in their drawings. Some of them use it as a main shading technique, and some use it as a great addition to their shading, which incredibly enriches drawing. But how can we make it work in our character drawings? Since we know that ambient occlusion appears in the most tight areas, we can start our shading process by defining them. For example, we can clearly see that underneck area will be highly occluded, which means it will be dark, because bend down head and the hanging fabric create some sorts of cavity, and the ambient light has almost no impact in that dark spot. The same we can say about spots where limbs or clothes overlap, so their surfaces are close to each other. I also like to create a bit of occlusion on the edges, like here. It helps to increase the depth even more. And you know what's even cooler? If you hide the line art layer, you'll see that your character is still looking three-dimensional. Now it's the time for the main trick. To achieve rich and deep shadows and add even more depth to your character, we need to add the direct lighting. In this case, I added the light source from above. This trick will help a lot to create your own believable characters, and I show how to do this in this video, so watch it next.